And get started. Hello, everybody. My name is Jason Kanedu. I serve in the new student orientation team. The name of this webinar is Ask Anything. The purpose of this program is to provide you with all the insight about getting connected to different opportunities at Hopkins and answer any questions you may have coming into your first year here. In just a moment, I'll turn over to our presenters. Please feel free to begin submitting any questions that you have in the Q&A. And if you're unable to answer your questions, in our time together today, please contact first year at jhu.edu and we will be sure to assist you. At this time, I'll pass it over to our presenters to introduce themselves and their respective roles.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Tina Tian. I'm a first year mentor here. I'm a rising senior studying BME, and my hometown is from Haddonfield, New Jersey, or from Shanghai, China.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jaden Williams. I'm also a rising senior, double majoring in molecular cellular biology and psychology, and I'm from Roatan, Honduras.
Hey everyone, my name's Nathan. I'm a rising senior here, majoring in biophysics, and I'm from Ashton, Maryland.
Hi everyone, my name is Nicole. I am a residential advisor. I am also a rising senior majoring in public health. I am from Florida.
Hi everyone, my name is Ember. I work on the NSO core team with Jason. I'm a rising junior. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Ray. I'm an RA as well and a rising junior. I major in art history and computer engineering with a minor in writing sims, and I'm from Columbia, Maryland.
Thank you so much, Balance, for introducing yourself. It looks like we have our first question. The first question someone asks, are you allowed to have a car on campus as a freshman? And I'd like to pass it off to our panelists. Any of you want to tackle that in particular?
I can answer that. So you are allowed to have a car on campus. It's just not recommended as there's not parking. So it's like more of a if you want to, because there's not really parking space that's like allocated to you. So you are able to like apply for a permit and things like that, but it's not guaranteed that you're going to have that permit access. So it is kind of up to you. It's just not, it's strongly not recommended because we have so many different modes of transportation that you can utilize, especially if you're doing like research or like a dual degree student or something like that. We have the Jimmy, which goes from here to Penn Station to the medical campus, and then also to Peabody. And then there's also the Blue Jay Shuttle, which is within a 2 mile radius and it has different routes throughout the day. But within that 2 mile radius, you can use it as you would like Lyft, and it'll pick you up from where you are and drop you off wherever you need to go. So it's strongly not recommended to bring a car first year.
Yeah, I would also say that it's tough to learn to drive in the city. I say that as someone who was a freshman who had a car on campus. So just be careful if you do bring one.
Thank you. Thank you, Alex. It looks like we have another question. A student asks, how does the role of a map differ from that of a hula? And should a student have both? And I'd like to pass to Jaden. Would you like to answer this question?
Yeah, so I think specifically like with MAP, I think what's nice about that is it is more of a pre-orientation program, more focused, I would say. So it kind of gives you an introduction to Hopkins before you actually get here. With like your full class, you get to meet a few people that are also like within a similar program as you. Um, and then with Hula, I'm not exactly sure like what that kind of entails. I know it is obviously some sort of extra mentor to have. So I never think it's like too much to have multiple mentors as they can kind of work together. You could definitely even have them like meet up like and do things like that. Personally, one of my mentees was actually a part of my also map group. So that was really nice that I was able to work with them within both roles. But I would definitely say there's no like negative to having two like different mentors. And I think they do differ in certain ways. I think map is more focused on like obviously how your well-being is, where I think hula is more academic, if I'm correct.
I can kind of speak as a hula leader as well. A lot of ours is not only like academics, as you were saying, which is very true. We very much help with like registration and like how to kind of like navigate college and through an academic lens, but also community building. We're mainly focused with fly students, so we try to like keep a close net with our hula students and like get them together, kind of create like a network of support in a way.
Thank you so much for answering the question. I think another student asked was, how does the room type listed in the warehouse, such as a double or a single, mean that your room is in a suite? So to repeat the question, does the room type listed in warehouse, such as a double or single, mean that your room is in a suite?
Yeah, I guess I can answer that. Yeah, whatever is listed on the birdhouse for your room assignment should represent what you will be moving into. So if it says a double, or if it says a single, yeah, that should be what your room assignment is, and that's what you should expect when you move into our residence halls.
Also the suites, like if you're asking about like whatever, like if either of them denote if you're in a suite or not, you would have to check which res hall you're in, like first, because there's different kinds of like room styles. Like in the AMRs, you could be in like a single without a suite or a double without a suite, but like if you're in Woolman, it might be a suite because you have the bathroom and kitchen. So you would have to check what hall you're in.
Thank you. Another student asks, what is undergrad research in the med/bone field like? What are different experiences within undergrad research?
I can speak to that for a bit. So, first of all, there are a lot of research opportunities at Hopkins, so you would don't worry about trying to find one if you're interested. But I've known a lot of people who pursued research their first year, like me, and but also a lot of people who didn't do it until their junior or even senior year. Specifically for me for like biomedical engineering, there are like since the major is so broad, which that t touches into like wet lab research or like mechanical research, hardware, and also like software or computer science research. And there are definitely opportunities both on Homewood campus, which is the main campus, and also on the medical campus, which is down at the School of Medicine, and the Jimmy bus will take you there as well. So some resources. There's our, which is our undergraduate research center, and they can help you like cold email professors and craft your resume and help you get into undergraduate research. There's Forager One, which is a platform where you can find research opportunities, and sometimes professors will post on there. But most of the time, it will be like cold emailing people or knowing different labs through different connections. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you so much, Nan. Another student asks, is there access to cleaning supplies such as vacuum cleaners in the resident halls, or does or do these need to be bought? So would an RA or is there an RA like to take this?
I can definitely answer that. So there is routine cleaning by custodial services or like cleaning operations that takes place within the residential halls. Within the dorms itself, the student will be in charge of cleaning the room, whether it's personal room or it's shared with other students. The public spaces like the restrooms that may be found with outside of the building or other different places within each residence hall are cleaned by the custodial services. There are like several locations around near campus and a store pertaining to campus where you can find some cleaning supplies if you need to as well.
Thank you so much for answering that question. And sticking on the topic of residence hall, another student asks, what adhesives can you use for your wall decorations, and how do you find about the club interest meetings?
Yeah, so I guess I can try to address both these questions. So, for the first part, there in the housing office when you actually come to campus, the office does have like a kit for hanging up like picture frames, portraits, or things like that on your wall that you could get from them. That's like kind of like approved materials they have there, and you could also just use um, like some like small like pins in the wall is like often, and then generally like command strips and things like that are not so much recommended because they do have the potential to tear the paint. There's not too many things that are explicitly like a no, but it's kind of like at your own risk depending on how strong like of a material you're going to use. So it's just important to be mindful of that. And then as far as club interest meetings, within the first week or two of school, I believe we have our student involvement fair or SIF, which basically like all of our clubs and organizations come together and present themselves, and it goes on for like 3 or 4 hours. You can stop by and like check out all the different clubs and like sign up there. So that's a great way to get involved at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I believe the student involvement fair is on September 4th, so the first Friday of like actual classes, and it's from 2 to 5 p.m. In the rec center, which is like the athletic center.
Okay, thank you so much. And then sticking on that same topic of residence hall, a student asks, uh, would the adhesive tape or poster frames be provided at move-in day, or would there be a special form that they would have to fill out to request it?
So if they're referring to what I mentioned, then you could just go in person to the housing office and request that specifically. They don't. That's just something they offer, but you would need to request that if you would like that from them specifically.
Thank you so much. Another student asks, is there a shuttle that can take students from Homewood to the airport?
I suppose I can answer that. So there's not specifically like a shuttle that takes you to the airport. There are obviously different transportation modes that you can utilize instead of like actually Ubering all the way there. I know a lot of people will typically take like the Jimmy or something to Penn Station and then they'll take that train to BWI. But there's also typically we have this platform online called SideChat that actually can be useful because sometimes people will make like a spreadsheet or things like that, typically around like larger breaks, and they'll put like their flight times and what time they actually want to depart from Hopkins, and it just makes it easier for you to save on like actually traveling to the airport. Because you can kind of do like a group share like activity where you're actually splitting that cost of an Uber or Lyft to BWI from Hopkins. So there's a lot of different ways that you can actually get to the airport, but unfortunately, Hopkins doesn't have a specific shuttle that goes all the way there.
Yeah, thank you so much. Another student asks, where's the Hopkins School Spirit on August 15th? I didn't get much information about that. Is that something one of our hosts could answer to? Students are referring to August 15th, our Hopkins School Day of School Spirit.
I guess I can try to answer that. I think you might be referring to the Blue Jay opening day, which is on September 5th. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But on that day, um, you'll get on the quad and like do a lot of interesting activities and get to meet other people. So it's kind of like an extension of orientation, but when everyone is here on campus.
Thank you. Another student asks, what does the orientation schedule look like, and where would I be able to find a copy of it?
So I can answer that. On our NSO webpage from JHU, you can find a copy of last year's schedule. We won't be releasing this year's schedule until orientation is kind of done because it's a lot to take in. It's quite a busy schedule. If you're coming on August 23rd, it's mainly there for like moving in, getting settled. You're gonna meet your RA, you're gonna meet your FYM, and we're gonna have this huge like ginormous like kickoff, which is where we get to see all of the entire like incoming class, and we're all gonna be in the student center, and it's gonna be really great and really fun and really crowded, but it's gonna be really good. And then after that, there's a lot of mandatory sessions about campus life. There's stuff about community and belonging, stuff about relationships and consent. There's some mandatory events that are about like our alcohol policy at school. And we also have a ton of fun events like our cookie social or our t-shirt giveaway. And you have stuff like your class photo that you'll be attending at that week.
Thank you so much. Thank you for answering that question. And just to uh, if we go back to our previous question and answer in terms of Hopkins School Spirit, that actually refers to the Blue Jay opening day, which is on actually on August on actually on September 15th. So to answer that previous question. it's Blue Jay opening day and it's happening on September 5th where you have games interact and meet with your peers. And also following upon the question, a student asks, how do I get the bed dimensions and how to loft the bed? Who should I reach out to for these questions?
I can answer the one about bed lofting. So I would call into the housing, like there's a number online you can call and we have the answers for that there for at on-campus living. And also as for lofting the bed, you'll all get an email once you move in about lofting it, but you definitely can't, it doesn't get lofted before you move in or anything like that. And they'll teach you further steps.
Also, for finding the bed dimensions and for like dimensions, the loft and your other furniture dimensions, in one of the emails from housing over the past couple of months, there was a link sent to like new housing application guide. I believe it was called something along the lines of that, and it has the different room layouts and furniture dimensions within there. But if you can't find it, then also just reach out to housing and they can resend that as well.
Thank you so much. A student asks, I'm a Canadian with prescriptions. After arriving, do I use my Canadian doctor's prescription to get medication? In this case, am I covered by JHU insurance?
So I can answer that. That would be a question that you can email to our first year inbox, and we can help you with any like personalized stuff with that. We also have our student health portal, which you can go to through MyGH platform, and they will be able to give you personalized advice about your medication and how that will look with any insurance that you have through the school.
Thank you so much, Amber. A student asks, is there a limit to the size of my picture slash poster frames that I can hang up in my residence hall?
There is a certain limit, yes, on the size of an individual like banner or a poster on the wall. I can't think of the exact dimensions right now, but they should definitely be listed if you search up our residential policies page. It has like a list of like the prohibited items and like certain dimensions. It should say all that information on there. If you like check that out, and while it should all be on there, if it's not, then you could definitely email housing. They could answer, but I'm pretty sure it's on there.
Also, I wanted to make a quick follow-up to the health insurance question for international students. So most colleges actually do require you to have some sort of health insurance to be like enrolled, especially depending on like the sort of visa that you may have. But when you do get the actual college insurance, they do cover international students.
Thank you so much. A student asks, for my residence hall, would the cleaning be handled by students or would it be handled by custodial staff if I'm living within a suite?
I can also answer this one. Like I mentioned, custodial services will cover the public areas of the residence halls, but within the suites itself, the students would be in charge of cleaning. For example, the bathroom in this case. But if there are public restrooms within the residence halls that are not in the suites, then that will be cleaned by custodial services of the building.
Thank you. A student asks, what is your biggest advice for starting classes slash studying at Johns Hopkins? So if we would like to pass this around, each host could take a second to answer.
Yeah, I can go ahead and start that. I think the best advice is to kind of like ease into things. Like I think a lot of the times like when you leave high school, um may have like not had to like study as much as you like will often in college, but I think what's nice is that there are so many different academic resources and support systems that Hopkins has to offer. I'm not going to go into full detail about them now. I mean, if you do have those questions, you can ask that. But there's so many different kind of academic support systems that actually do help you if you do have any sort of struggles or anything like that. But I would say just kind of like explore like different classes. I know what's really nice is that you also don't technically declare your major until the end of like your first year. So that's not something you have to really worry about, like kind of the courses that you're actually taking pertaining to your major, unless you're like BME or something. But I would definitely say just like try out different classes and kind of like make a schedule that works best for you. I think specifically like within the first, I believe it's 2 to 3 weeks, you have time to actually move around things within your schedule. So like adding and dropping courses. So just kind of do what works best for you. I think planning ahead is also something that's very valuable that you'll need in college, but also post grad. So I definitely say try to start that now if you can and get your sleep.
This might sound slightly contradictory from uh, how Jaden started, but about like easing into it, I agree. But at the same time, I also usually suggest, I think, with your student involvement fair and all the opportunities in the beginning, it's really great to definitely explore your interests at first, because I think it's easier to like pull out of things as you need to, as you figure out like how your time works for you. But I think it's definitely great to try to get involved in like new things you maybe haven't had a chance to do at first. That way you can kind of get like your foot in the door, and if you decide you want to stick through, you have a more time to like gain experience in a club, make leadership positions, things like that. So I think it's definitely great to explore first, but also definitely, be conscious of the fact that it is a big transition, and you will need to devote, time to adjusting and just, being like comfortable, not stressing yourself out too much.
Yeah, I think, sorry to add on that, I know the two people have already gone, but I think it's just a lot of college, especially college at Hopkins, is about finding balance. So, if you can create that balance between having like a social life and also studying, because I think a lot of people fall into the trap of studying too much, and not like branching out. So, and it's just helpful to have a circle of people there to support you as well. So. Just make sure you're creating a balance where you're having fun and studying, because that's what college is for.
I
I
would definitely, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the clubs. Take advantage of SIF, which is a student involvement fair that was mentioned earlier that happens at the beginning of the semester. Um, there you'll definitely see a lot of different clubs. You can explore a lot of different interests. It's easier to join clubs as a freshman, as a sophomore, so that you can show progress over the years. And even so, if you find another club that may pique more your interest, then you can also have the opportunity to explore that as well. And I would also say, if you're interested in research, definitely start looking into like a PI or a professor that might be doing some research that you're interested in. That it's definitely great to get a head start on that as well. Sorry, Amber, go ahead.
No, you're totally fine. Yeah, I think these have all been pretty good answers. I kind of agree with like the mix of like getting involved when you first get here, but also kind of easing into it. I was the type that I was really nervous for it. I like got pretty good grades in high school, but like I was really nervous for like that change in like academic rigor, like when you get here. And I would definitely say there is a huge jump, at least from my high school experience. But there are a lot of resources here. You should not be scared of, like getting some lower scores than you might be used to. We have like office hours from professors. There's a ton of like student mentors. We have pilot leaders, which is like kind of like you probably got the emails about pilot, but like it's like a student led tutoring session. We also have like learning den, and there are a ton of like fun clubs to get into, some that you would like never expect to happen, but there are a lot of them, and there's just so many ways to get involved around campus. There needs to be the balance between like academics and just having fun as well, because it is college, and you do want to have a good time here. It shouldn't just like be studying.
Sorry, one last comment. Yeah, thank you everyone for sharing. But specifically for starting classes, I found that just like walking through my schedule before classes started was really helpful. You can always ask your first year mentor to help you out on it, or you can explore the campus yourself as well. I think like knowing where my classes are, where the classrooms are, and maybe seeing who else is in your class that you know from orientation or pre-O was really helpful for me.
All right. Thank you so much, panelists. Thank you for answering. And going back to the topic of within the residence hall, a student asks, are there laundry rooms within each residence hall, and how would I have access to those laundry rooms?
Yes, there are laundry rooms in the basement of every residence hall. There's one exception, but yeah, there's laundry room in all of them, and you also have credit automatically applied to your J card as part of being a student here every month. So that's included. So you don't have to pay extra to like spend the credit to wash your clothes. And the one exception is our newest residence hall, the Academy, for second-year students has washing machine and dryers within the suites themselves. But for all the buildings, yes, you would have washer and dryer within them.
Thank you. Exactly. And just to go back to our previous question about how to get involved within clubs within campus, and just like as our panelists answered, a lot of ways to get involved within club or campus activities is to go to the student involvement fair, which is held on September 4th, where you get to meet a lot of clubs and learn about different clubs, what they offer, and different ways you can get involved within them. And then to follow up a question, a student asks as well, in McCoy, there are 4 separate rooms and 2 students in the same room. If so, are there any dividers?
So in McCoy, there are only doubles, like it's like or you get a single, like, but that's sort of rarer in McCoy. When it's 4 separate rooms, it's normally just 2 rooms with 2 people in it. There aren't dividers that we give you, but I've seen a popular sort of room setup is people put their wardrobes up against each other so that there's separation between the beds in the room. They would put their like desks next to it as well. So yeah, if you need a divider, I would recommend like investing in one and like talking it out with your roommate.
I can kind of speak to that because that's what me and my roommate did. We had a pretty small room. It wasn't in McCoy, but it was in AMR2. And we just kind of like lined the wardrobes. Like they get you like one after another. So it created like this own divider. I think it was really nice. It gave us like our own like little bit of privacy, but also kept like half the room still open and like available to like hang out and chat and just do anything we wanted. But it did also have like a little corner that was just for ourselves. So it was pretty nice.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, panelists. A student asks, for students who are moving in on the 19th for pre-orientation, what will the 23rd look like? Would they be staying in the same rooms or would they have to re re-enter and remove back in?
I can talk to that. So, for those that are coming for pre-orientation, the rooms that you'll be moving into is the room that you're going to be having for the rest of the year, unless, of course, you change it for some reason. But it is like the room that you are assigned for during regular orientation and the school year. The 23rd is basically just going to be a day that you can hang around campus and get a bunch of free stuff that are being like handed out to students that are moving in. You could have your parents come back if they wanted to and have some like the family events, but it's not necessary. You'll get to like see a bunch of people. You'll still get to go to the kickoff and meet your FYM and have your floor meeting. Those are all mandatory events, but the rest of the day is really dedicated to the move-in of the incoming first years that didn't weren't at Prio. So you get to kind of just hang out.
Thank you so much. And then staying within the topics of moving and within the residence hall, a student asks what type of furniture would be provided during move-in and what type of appliance am I allowed to bring within my residence hall? I'm not sure if Nathan will be able to answer.
Sure. Yeah, so the exact furniture within your room is going to depend on which residence hall you've been assigned. That new student housing application guide that I mentioned before that has the furniture you should expect in your room. And again, that was emailed sometime within the past month or so. But again, if you can't find it, then feel free to reach out to housing. But generally, you'll have definitely a desk, you'll have a chair, you'll have a wardrobe, you'll have a dresser, you have the bed that can be lofted. Those are kind of like the basics. And then in like Woolman and McCoy, you would have a kitchenette, so there'd be a mini fridge there. Um, and that's kind of what that would look like. And as far as appliances you can bring, again, I would recommend that you check the prohibited items list on our residential policies page because, just better to be safe than sorry. But generally, like, well, yeah, I don't wanna say which things are explicitly allowed because I don't have like a list off the top of my head, but you can definitely check the things which aren't allowed and then plan around that to bring other things. But yeah, generally shouldn't be a problem to bring essentials you need to cook whatever you might need in there. But if there's any specific thing you have a question about, again, which isn't explicitly covered on the residential policies page, just definitely give a call or an email to housing and you get that answered.
You can also ask your RA once you're on campus if you have questions that come up. That's what they're there for.
Thank you so much, panelists. A student asks, If we're attending pre-orientation, can we deliver things to our dorms prior to prior to moving?
I can also answer that. And yes, it will be 1 week before. So the student will be able to begin shipping the items 1 week before the pre-orientation day. Just keep in mind that the packages have to be less than 50 pounds, and they can also find this information in the Residential Mail Services website, where they can also see like the address as well as in their housing.
Thank you. And then staying within the topic of moving, a student asks as well, for suits within warming, I know that a refrigerator and microwave applied are supplied within the suit, but would I be able to replace it with my own?
So actually, I don't believe a microwave is supplied. If one of the other arrays, could you nod if you believe that's the case as well? I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's just a mini fridge. Again, I would advise that new housing application guide. But yeah, so I'm pretty sure it's just a mini fridge. I don't believe it comes with a microwave, but you would be able to replace either if you would like. But of course, you would need to coordinate that with your roommates or your suite mates because you would all be sharing those appliances. So just make sure for anything you're planning on bringing for shared use or switching out, you definitely make sure to communicate that in advance.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you're allowed to switch out the fridge just because I mean you can bring an extra one, but I'm not sure if you can switch it. But I will say that you can also rent a fridge. I think there's something for that. Like you can call housing and we should be able to sort that for you. You do need to bring a microwave as well. Like that's I'm pretty sure that's like they you only get one if you're staff or something.
Thank you so much. A student asks, in regards to my residence hall and room assignments, says A or B. Does that indicate a specific side of the room? And if so, do you need to find that out during move-in?
When you move in, sorry, I took this one even though I just started talking. But inside the rooms, they'll be clearly labeled on the doors inside the suite if it's within like a suite. So you'll see it immediately when you walk in. I'm not sure if the room like plans online say it, but you could also check that.
To add on to that, you can also find out which is your room, either A or B in this case. If you look up your housing portal or the birdhouse, it'll tell you exactly your room assignment.
Thank you so much. And then a student asks, in terms of weather within Baltimore, moving here, are there any special outfits or clothing that they need to acquire moving, whether socks, boots, or coats that they would need, and in terms of overall weather within Baltimore? And I think this is a question if all the parents would like to tackle.
Get everything. Like the weather took me out. I'm not even gonna lie. Like from a person from like a warm climate, the weather actually like took me out my freshman year because I was not prepared. So I would say actually do prepare. Like make sure you have a good coat, some gloves, some boots, thick socks, good blanket. Heating blanket is gonna be your best friend. I loved my heating blanket. I would just say make sure that you are prepared for the weather. Rain as well. So a good umbrella, a strong umbrella because it is also pretty windy. So do be prepared for the weather. That's a good question.
Wait, I hate to do it again, but I'm gonna slightly disagree because we do definitely get all four seasons. We for sure like we get snow. It's been pretty hot the past couple weeks too, but I feel like the weather's like usually not that extreme. Definitely do bring an umbrella though. The rain, it can definitely rain. And if you're not used to the cold, then you could do like the sort of fallout measures that Jaden mentioned. But other than that, I feel like yeah, it can get a bit cold in the winter for sure. But overall, like nothing too crazy. We did have a day we all went sledding for the most part, like this past January, but that was kind of like the biggest snowfall I've seen while being a student here. So, yeah, definitely be prepared for weather conditions you're not used to if you're not from a state where there is all four seasons.
Yeah, I also wanted to add to that. I'm like, as someone from Maryland, like, just be aware of your own like tolerance of like different temperatures. Because also, it's just like here, just know that you could experience anything when you walk out the door. So I would check the weather app every morning before you leave because it could rain randomly halfway through the day. Don't get all your papers wet. It's not a good experience. So just keep a lookout every day when you're like just download the weather app if you don't have it already. That's it.
I would definitely agree. The weather here is high key bipolar. We definitely get all 4 seasons. I'm from a place where it's like we only really get 2 seasons, and that's either snow or not snow. Um, and so it got really hot for me here. I'm not gonna lie, especially like this past month, I've been staying like around campus, and it is diabolical how hot it gets. There's also a ton of rain. And instead of like being like, oh my God, it's gonna rain, it's gonna like cool down. No, 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 no. It's like muggy and hot and disgusting and awful. It gets sticks to you. Um, that is something I've never experienced before until I got here. So definitely prepare for that. I definitely agree with the weather app. There's so many times where I'm like, it's not gonna rain today. It'll be fine. I don't need to check the weather app. I have a little mini like umbrella I keep in my purse and in my backpack just in case because of how many times I've been caught in the rain. It's so bad.
Mhm. Thank you so much, panelists. Thank you. And I just want to add a little bit onto that, especially during the month of August and during orientation week, it's going to be very hot. So make sure when you're packing your clothes, you pack sunscreen and a nice water bottle.
Bug spray doesn't hurt as well.
Yes, but and then shifting the topic to in terms to our recreational center, a student said, "I know lockers are provided, but they were wondering whether they would have access to a lock or whether they were able to rent a specific locker for the semester." So I'm not sure whether Jaden, you would take this question. So the student was asking whether they were able to rent a locker within the recreational center for a semester, and if so, would they need to provide their own lock, or would a lock be provided for them?
So, as someone who doesn't really go to the rec that much, I will say every time I've been to the rec that there is like cubbies kind of. There's not usually it's kind of like a respect thing where it's like you don't usually like need a locker to like kind of lock your items up. It's usually like it is stored in a safe place and there's like cameras there. Like usually like people won't take your stuff like here in college. Like I've kind of noticed that. Like I'll leave my like all my devices, my backpack, everything for like hours, come back and it's still there. Like I've never heard of anyone like having their items stolen or anything like that. Especially like, at the rec, like when I would go play volleyball and stuff, like I'd leave my stuff like in the cubbies and there would never be like any sort of issue. I'm sure if you did have something like maybe more personal, you could probably just ask the rec like kind of staff if they have any specific like kind of ways that they could keep your stuff like protected, but usually like it's pretty fine to just put it in the cubbies that they have there.
I would recommend checking like their website. I think you can just search up like JHU Rec Center and they'll probably like either have contact information or answer your question there.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely like contact the rec because I've seen lockers for sure before. But like for the most part, students using like the weight rooms specifically like do use the cubbies. But for other spaces around the rec, I'm not as familiar. But again, I have seen lockers, so definitely like reach out to the rec about how that process works.
Thank you so much. A student, and then to answer the same question, to answer that same question, a student asks whether I can purchase a locker service or a locker available. And I think the best question for that is to reach the members within the recreation center for more information about that. Okay. And then shifting the focus a little bit, a student asks, in terms of gaining leadership experience, what are different leadership opportunities or positions on campus, and how hard is it to gain leadership experience within those roles?
I will say that for leadership experience, it's a bit harder to like immediately jump into one as a freshman on campus, just because a lot of leadership roles are already filled. But it's important, especially for you to be like joining different clubs that you feel like you could definitely do like good leadership in, or that you feel like you want to just even try. Because every year there's like re-elections for most clubs. There's like re-elections for different leadership positions. So establishing yourself in different organizations on campus as a freshman is good as like a starter position, as like a starter way to do things. But I think I'll probably pass that on to someone else if anyone else has any ideas about like leadership.
I
Yeah.
can. Oh,
Go
sorry, go
ahead.
ahead.
No, go ahead.
Thank you. I can add on to that. I also agree that like it's harder to gain leadership roles in freshmen. I don't as a freshman, but I know some people who like some clubs who do re-elections like in the spring. So I guess in the spring you have a chance, but most of the time it's the year after. But like on the side note, during SIF, like the club fair we have, like every single club is going to try to approach you and ask you to join their club. And I think like people fall into their traps and kind of join too many. But I would recommend after trying like a few out, like limit yourself to maybe two or three you're really, really interested in and really be involved in those clubs during your first year to uh, obtain a leadership role. Personally, I think it's like rather easy to get into a leadership role if you put in the effort.
I would definitely agree with that. I was the kind of type that like I was easing myself into college, so I didn't do like a lot of clubs or like really anything outside of classes. But I would say starting like sophomore year, there are a ton of opportunities that you can get into, and not all of them are club related even. There's a ton of positions for students to like even work on campus. I know like there's several positions for like the global education office. You have ones the financial aid office, admissions. We even for the core team, we work with our student transition and family engagement office, and it's a really great opportunity to get some leadership experience, but also kind of stay within that like college community. So I would definitely recommend looking around campus for jobs. You can even have like stepping stones where it's like I'm a TA for general biology, but I started out as a bio mentor who doesn't really teach the class, but they stay after school or not after school, but like after class and have like an hour as like an office hour for students to go to before like a TA office hour.
Yeah, I would also recommend applying to be an FIM or an RA in your freshman year by the end of it. So those are great leadership positions.
Shameless plug, but I will say Blue Key Society. Really good way to actually also work on public speaking. One of the most impactful roles that I've had thus far at Hopkins. I would also say that leadership is also something that you can get involved in as soon as you want. Because Hopkins, what's really nice is specifically catered to our university is that we're big on networking. And I think that's why it's so important for us to have a strong alumni network, because networking can really get you far. So I definitely think like just talking to a lot of different students, obviously asking your FYM because like a lot of the FYMs and like your RAs also hold like a lot of leadership positions. So that's also a way that you can utilize that to like your leverage to actually join like clubs that you actually may gain interest in and things like that. So I definitely say just like utilize your networking space that you have because Hopkins is full of great opportunities.
Thank you so much, panelists. Thank you so much. And shifting focus slightly, jumping back into the topic of moving day and life within the residence hall, a student asks questions about bed lofting and what are the procedures around that, whether there's a form they would have to fill in prior to moving, and if so, where would they access that information or form?
Yeah, so I believe within the first week of moving in, or maybe the second, I think within the first week, on campus living or housing will reach out to all students about bed lofting. There'll be emails sent out, and you would sign up at that time to have staff come and loft your bed at a certain time. So you'd sign up for a certain time slot for them to do that for you within the first couple weeks.
Thank you. And a student asks, staying within the same topic of moving day, a student asks whether their parents would be allowed to, parents slash guardian would be allowed to stay for the entirety of orientation week, and whether or not they were able to attend and participate within orientation week events.
I can kind of take that one. So, our move-in day, the 23rd, there are a lot of events that parents can attend. We have our own like family welcoming station that they can go to. We get meal vouchers for families. But after move-in day, we kind of expect parents to move off campus and make that transition for students to stay. We don't have any events that are geared to have parents there at all. It's really focused on the student and their experience in that transition to college. We do have events later in the year, like our family weekend, where parents can come back. We have several events that are geared towards family and like their student and their family being together, which are really fun, really great, and I would recommend.
Thank you so much. And staying within the same topic, a student asks, I'm moving in on August 19th for pre-orientation. On that night, am I able to eat dinner with my family? I heard that there is a family dinner.
I can kind of answer that one again. Being part of like the core team, we like kind of plan orientation, and I'm actually in charge of the check-in and dinner. So the dinner for that night will start at 5 p.m. after your welcoming sessions. The family members will also have their own welcoming session. And you can have any like dinner between 5 to 8 p.m. and it's geared towards family. We're hosting it for family and their students, and kind of like making that transition for that last goodbye as well. So family members can definitely attend.
Thank you. And then staying, going back to the question of items within move-in or within with the residence hall, the student asks whether they could bring a toaster.
So, anything with an open heating element isn't allowed in the res halls. So, toasters aren't exactly allowed because they have the open heating element on the inside. However, if it was like one of those toasters that like doubles as a microwave, because I've seen those before, that works because it's like an internal heating element. Just ask your RA as well, or ask housing, but just make sure it doesn't have an open heating element. That's also why candles aren't allowed.
Thank you. And then a student asks as well, within McCoy, are there communal kitchens, study rooms, etc. on every floor, or are they only on the first floor? Maybe.
Yeah, so in McCoy, um, there are communal there's a common space on every floor, I believe. Yeah, on every floor there's a common space, and there'd be like a TV there, chairs, a table, and as far as the common kitchen goes, um, did anyone live in McCoy the freshman year? Can answer about the common kitchen because I know there's one in Woolman for sure, but
Yeah, I'm an RA in McCoy. I didn't realize this was a McCoy question. I think it cut out when they said McCoy. I thought this was for all the res halls. But the common kitchen, there's only one and it's in the like first floor. There's a study room on every floor. And within each wing, because there's like an east and west wing on every floor, there's a common space where you can sit. There's like couches and there's a desk to like sit and do your work. I see people do that a lot. So yeah. You also have kitchens in your rooms, and unless you're an RA, I think you get a kitchen in your room. So
Thank you. A student asks, I know my room assignment, but for a double, would I be able to switch rooms during move-in, or is it a first come, first serve?
I think if you're asking particularly if the room, like, since it's a double, like, if you can choose the side, I don't think there's like a way that like it's like who gets what side. I think it is first come, first serve. That's why I did pre-orientation, so I could get the better side of the room. But I do think there's like no specific basis on which side like you have to like be on.
Thank you. A student asks, do you have any tips or recommendations for dining? So I don't know if whether any of your parents could like, talk a little bit about that. Any tips or recommendations for dining or in terms of the dining halls?
yeah, I guess we have a lot of different dining options, and like a lot of different cuisines represented and styles in our dining hall. So definitely like try out things at first. Maybe don't just like get stuck eating at only one place like the whole time and then realize like, oh, this other place I would have enjoyed as well. Like definitely like sample some of the different spaces. We have a lot of great new food in the student center as well. And for as far as tips, I would definitely make use of Charmart because it's our Charles Street Market. It's open to till midnight during the academic year, and they got like sushi, grab and go meals. You can use your meal swipes there as well, and a bunch of other food. So that's very convenient for like late night eating. And that's for all the on-campus stuff. Off-campus, Baltimore has like tons of great food. So definitely like go exploring when you can in restaurants around the city and ask people for recommendations because there's so many good restaurants nearby.
Yeah, I will say for dining, exploring Baltimore is a great idea. Like I'll piggyback off of what Nathan said because I think a lot of people on campus don't explore as much as they definitely should. Baltimore's a wonderful city, and we've got great food. I will say the neighborhood Mount Vernon has a like it's like right down. It's not the Virginia one. It's like right down the street, like right next to where the Peabody campus is. They have a lot of good food there, so check that out. As for dining, I will say that you can get a lot of different ingredients as well if you like cooking things for yourself, but you don't exactly want to buy ingredients. You can get a lot of ingredients at the dining halls. Like there's like a salad bar and you can get different and you can get chicken or like just different things around. But also the dining halls are pretty all right on their own. So
We also get Grubhub Premium or Plus or whatever as part of being a student here. So make use of that. It's still expensive. Anytime you're ordering food, it's going to be like way more expensive than going in person, but it's cheaper. So check that out if that's the kind of thing you're interested in. I think you're muted, Jason.
Sorry about that. Thank you so much. And it looks like we're running a bit short on time that we have together. And feel again, if we're unable to answer any of the questions that you have in the moment, you could always reach out to JHU, first year at JHU, to have your questions answered. And I think leaving the final question for the end of the webinar is any last advice or piece of advice you'd like to give students? So,
I guess I can start. I think advice that I give all of my mentees is that explore different options in college, especially like different clubs, classes, majors, like try all different types of things because you really don't know what exactly you're going to find that kind of interests you. You may come in with like a notion of like wanting to do something, and then you like may like shadow or like meet people who like change your mind, and it's okay to be like open to those like that different ideas. I definitely think, especially with joining clubs, as people have said within SIF, I know my freshman year, I kind of joined like a lot of different clubs. I was just like joining them because they were giving away free merch. But I think it's also nice because some of those clubs I actually did stay within, and now I do have a leadership position within those clubs. So I definitely think just like try out different things, be open, obviously meet new people, network, utilize all your resources properly. Were just some of the examples of different support that you have, but you have so much support surrounded by you here at Hopkins specifically. So don't ever be afraid to like reach out. And yeah, best of luck with you in your freshman year.
I would definitely second that because Hopkins has like a ton of resources and tons of opportunities for you to pursue. So you'll always have the chance to explore different things, like whether academically or more interest-wise. Um, but also, it's really easy to get overwhelmed with all of those opportunities. I remember like being email bombed on like the first week, during the first week of school, with all those different resources. But um, just know that these resources are always there when you need it, but you don't like have to catch every single opportunity just because there are so many. That's the advice I would give. And also, like repeating what Jaden said, please sleep well. Sleep is super, super important. Um, and yeah, welcome to Hopkins and hope I'll see some of you during orientation.
Any last advice for me is I would just say definitely have fun. Take any opportunity you get. There's like a lot of fun events you can do with like your roommate, where even if it's like a midnight like cookie run to any place nearby, like you're gonna have fun in ways you don't expect. And definitely try to go to events you maybe not thought you would enjoy as much. There were so many friends I met through random events I was dragged to. And just like opportunities I would have missed if I didn't go to certain things. So definitely try to get out there and maybe explore out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, and kind of reiterating what I had said earlier, like I think like definitely dive in at first, like with exploring new things, and going to college in general. And here it'll probably be like a lot larger than whatever you went to for high school. so many different people, new experiences to take advantage of. So yeah, and especially in the beginning, people are very open to making friends because everybody's looking to make new connections, and people aren't really coming in with any like preformed network. So that's the best time to just really get your foot in the door. Like things you have no experience with that you're just curious about, like definitely just go for it and like try it out in the beginning. I think you should definitely. That's my piece of advice.
Yeah, I think also something to add to that is like one of the best things about college is that there's so many people and you can branch out whenever you want, like regardless if it's your freshman year, your sophomore year, whatever. So like make know as many people are like as you would like, but also be aware that if the certain people don't work out for you, that there is always the option to branch out, and that's something that I think everyone should keep in mind.
And lastly, I would want to end off by saying that first year mentors and residential advisors like myself are always available for any questions. There are also different offices around campus that are always there to help you with any doubt that you may have. And in terms of academics, don't hesitate to like go to office hours or reach out to your professors, um, TAs, LAs, or any other mentee for additional support if you may need it, or any advice, especially when it comes to like class registration, majors, clubs, etc. Yeah. And welcome to the Nest.
Thank you so much, Alice, and thank you everyone for joining us in this wonderful webinar. Again, please feel free to submit any further questions that you have that were either unanswered or questions you have later on to firstyear@jhu.edu, and those questions will get answered. And again, thank you, panelists, for hosting. Thank you for your wonderful insights. And with that, I'd like to end the webinar.